Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Atrophy of Soul, and today we will be discussing what we currently know about Devil May Cry 5. I wanted to compile the majority of the information that we've received about the game since it was announced at E3 a few weeks ago into one video to make things a little easier for people to gain information about what's going on with the game. So firstly, let's get started with the story. In the provincial Red Grave city, a giant tree with blood-sucking roots has suddenly appeared and began attacking people. Nero, who has now established his own branch of the Devil May Cry franchise, hurries to the scene to exterminate the demons that are attacking the city. Accompanying him in this adventure is a weapon artist named Nico, who will be providing Nero with various Devil Breakers, which is Nero's bionic Devil Bringer. These Devil Breakers will provide Nero with a wealth of abilities to experiment with. As to whether or not Nico will provide Nero with brand new guns and swords has yet to be announced or seen, but as of right now, at the very least, she will be creating various Devil Breakers for Nero to wield. For those of you who don't know very much about Nero, Nero is a young traveling demon hunter who was once part of the Holy Knight Order of the Sword. After the events of Devil May Cry 4, he decides to carve his own path in the world with the help of the legendary demon hunter Dante. Nero's demonic arm, the Devil Bringer, has been lost after a mysterious figure stole it from him by tearing it from his body. With the help of his partner Nico, Nero was able to replace his amputated arm with the Devil Breaker, allowing him to stand against the demonic forces attacking Red Grave City. Speaking of Nico, she is a self-proclaimed weapon artist who travels with Nero on his jobs. She's a first-class weapon crafter, and her grandmother is most likely Nell Goldstein. Nell Goldstein should be a name that's very familiar to hardcore fans of the Devil May Cry franchise. In the Devil May Cry novel, Nell is a weapons artist who actually crafts Dante's signature dual custom pistols, Ebony and Ivory. The way that Nico views her creations is said to be reminiscent to her father, who, according to some sources, is a mad scientist. We can only speculate as to who Nico's father is at this point, but the most likely candidate of the characters that we currently know from the series is Agnes from Devil May Cry 4. Nico actually shares a bit of a resemblance to Agnes, especially when we place them side by side. In addition to Nero, Devil May Cry 5 will feature two other lead characters who are drawn to Red Grave City in search of some sort of retribution. Each of the demon hunters will be equipped with unique abilities and weapons. The series poster boy Dante will clearly be one of these demon hunters, as well as a mysterious character named V. According to the leaks, when it comes to gameplay, V will be able to summon demonic bodyguards to aid him in battle. This description leads me to believe that V's gameplay will likely be somewhat reminiscent to another Capcom property that was created by some of the lead designers of the original Devil May Cry, Chaos Legion. Chaos Legion actually shares quite a few things in common with the original Devil May Cry series in terms of gameplay. However, the focus of combat is on summoning legions to aid you in battle, as opposed to being able to just hack and slash everything in sight by yourself. If V's gameplay is essentially a far more layered version of Chaos Legion, V will definitely be a character whose gameplay depth may very well rival that of Dante's from Devil May Cry 4. As of right now, we know very little about V and Dante's specific reasons for going to Red Grave City, and gameplay specifics on Dante is very limited at this point, so there's not really much that I can say about it currently. Some of the supposed leaked images show Dante wielding a giant sword that's very reminiscent to Sparta, and of course, as we saw in the trailer, Dante is riding some sort of demonic motorcycle. Devil May Cry 5 is said to feature the fastest gameplay in the series to date, allowing you to, quote, move however you feel. The game will run at a smooth 60 frames per second and uses the impressive RE engine that made Resident Evil 7's visual so striking. According to an interview on GameSpark, Devil May Cry 5 will feature an adaptable and dynamic soundtrack. Depending upon how stylish you play and the level of the style meter, the music in the game will change to reflect your performance. It seems as though Devil May Cry 5 is taking some inspiration from titles such as Metal Gear Rising, where the soundtrack would ebb and flow depending on the phase of battle, especially during bosses. The core gameplay that we've seen thus far from Nero seems almost as though it was stripped directly from Devil May Cry 4. All of his basic combos and abilities seem to be in play in all of the footage that we've seen. Things such as the roulette spin, revving, and charge shots are all intact. However, what makes his gameplay far more interesting than what was provided in Devil May Cry 4 are the various modes that the Devil Breaker can be equipped with. If you pay attention throughout all of the footage that we've received, you will find that Nero's Devil Breaker can be used to suspend enemies in the air with a rocket punch, freeze enemies in place with time manipulation, snatch enemies with a grapple, and fling enemies, very much akin to his more basic Devil Bringer attacks from Devil May Cry 4. All of the gameplay variety for Nero as of right now seems to be tied directly to his Devil Breaker, which Nero can even use to surf on in certain instances, according to the trailer. Nero's Devil Breaker will also deteriorate and break with usage. Whenever this happens, Nero will be able to replace the Devil Breaker using a receptacle holstered to his waist. It is also confirmed that Nero will be able to swap between Devil Breakers during gameplay, which will add even more layers of depth to his gameplay systems. Devil May Cry 5 will be occurring several years after Devil May Cry 4. As of right now, Devil May Cry 2 hasn't been mentioned at all by any official sources, therefore it's fair to assume that this title takes place before DMC 2 unless otherwise stated. Whether DMC 5 will completely retcon DMC 2 remains to be seen, but there isn't much more that we can speculate about in terms of the timeline until further information is provided for us. The black detective character who was speaking at the beginning of the trailer is actually Morrison from the Devil May Cry anime, which might be perplexing to some since Morrison was actually a white guy in the anime. It seems as though Morrison is speaking directly to Dante in the trailer, as at one point he says, quote, "You've never had this much trouble before. You gonna make it through this?" End quote, implying that this new threat may very well be a true challenge for Dante to overcome, which is something that we haven't really seen in the series since Devil May Cry 3. The demonic monster that appears near the beginning of the trailer is going to be a major villain in the game and is said to be around 26 feet tall, so the thing is massive. The mysterious character who steals Nero's arm is more likely than not Virgil, Dante's twin brother and Nero's biological father. Kitty A's fate is currently unknown, but you can hear Nero yelling her name during one point in the trailer, telling her to get back inside before his arm gets ripped off. The music video for the song Devil Trigger is said to contain a number of hidden clues about the brand new playable character V. Yuki Shimomura will be returning as the cutscene director and stunt coordinator for Devil May Cry 5, which means that we are going to get some of the most amazingly well choreographed and breathtaking action scenes ever placed into a video game. Itsuno made sure to bring back as many of the staff who worked on Devil May Cry 3 and 4 as he possibly could for this project. It's clear from the way that Itsuno speaks about Devil May Cry 5 that it's a labor of love for the fans of the franchise. Itsuno has even gone so far as to say that Devil May Cry 5 is the greatest game that he's ever made. Johnny Young Bosch has also returned to do the voice of Nero, and perhaps motion capture, but I can't confirm that at this point. As of right now, we don't have direct confirmation as to whether or not Ruben Langdon will be returning as Dante, but it's fair to say from the little that we've heard from Dante in the trailer, I think he's back. Once again, whether or not Ruben Langdon will be doing the motion capture for Dante has yet to be announced, but I'm sure that will be the case. All of the faces for the characters in the game were scanned using European models. The face model for Dante is a man named Adam Cowie, or Cowie, I don't know how to say his name. You can find his Instagram in the description below if you want a better understanding of how Dante's face is going to look in Devil May Cry 5. As of right now, I couldn't find the face models for the other characters, but since a lot of people were concerned about how Dante looked in Devil May Cry 5, I think that checking out this Instagram will be a nice way of alleviating any concerns that you may have about Dante's looks. The last bit of information that I have for you right now is that Devil May Cry 5 will be releasing sometime in early 2019 for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. I'm hoping that we will be seeing a limited edition of some sort with statues and figures, but only time will tell. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, that's all of the information that I currently have for you about Devil May Cry 5 until Gamescom rolls around at the end of August. If you have any more information about the game that I somehow missed or that you feel is relevant to the discussion, be sure to post it in the comment section below. In addition to that, be sure to let me know what you think about Devil May Cry 5 thus far. Do you feel that it has the potential to surpass Devil May Cry 3 and 4? Do you feel that it's going to be a letdown, or are you somewhere in between? With that said, ladies and gentlemen, once again, my name is Atrophy of Soul. Thank you very kindly for watching and listening, and be sure to have yourselves a fine day.